There are a few things here that we don't like to hear. I think we can all agree on that. But these are simply things that need to be addressed. There is a chance of a summer slump. Nevertheless, please take a look at the data I'm about to show you, because it gave me a completely different perspective on whether we're really seeing a summer slump here or not. Because I've been showing you this over the past few weeks. On the weekly chart for Bitcoin, we've tested the 50 EMA here, and every time we've done that, without breaking below it, we've treated it as a resistance zone, and then started a strong upward trend, sometimes 200%, here 113%. And that lasted for 4 or 5 months as well. And if we apply that to the current situation, we can see that right here again, after testing it, we had a strong upward trend, just like in the past, just as it's supposed to be. So that's already a good start. According to the timing and data, we should have the next few months going pretty well, where we should really see significant price gains until October or November 2025. And then it will probably transition into a bear market. That's just based on the fundamentals. Because in this cycle, it has already happened exactly like this twice. And this time, everything really seems to be pointing in the same direction again, because my timing and data really match up perfectly here. But we do have a problem, and that's the so-called summer slump. Many people think we are seeing a summer slump because in the past, it was often the case that we didn't perform particularly well during the summer, especially since a lot of people in the US have to pay taxes in May and so on. But I took a look at the past now, and just look at this. Here we have the S&P 500, which pretty accurately reflects the real economy. That should be clear to everyone. Since 2016, the S&P 500 has been rising continuously, especially with the takeover up points when Trump became president. A really strong upward trend. That was also the time when we experienced the first Bitcoin bull run, because the real economy was doing really, really well. Here too, we moved through the summer very well, with hardly any corrections throughout the summer. At the end of the year, there was another big rally. The problem is, just look at this. At the beginning of 2018, we then had a major crash in the S&P 500, and stocks did not perform well at all. Bitcoin didn't perform well either. That was the point when Bitcoin also entered a bear market. The bull run was over. The bear market had begun. And generally, stock markets tend to perform better at the beginning and end of the year, and not as well in the middle of the year. So why wasn't that the case here? Because in 2018, Trump announced tariffs. It all started on January 22nd, and is with tariffs on all sorts of things, aluminum, steel, and so on. Tariffs were imposed at the beginning of 2018, and as a result, the S&P 500 underwent a significant correction that lasted for months. But by April, we slowly started to recover. Why? Because little by little, all the punitive tariffs had been priced in, and there was nothing left to really shock the market. Then we had another strong rally throughout the summer. So during that summer, it felt like there was no correction at all. We just kept going up. That's why it's important to understand. There doesn't have to be a summer slump. A summer slump usually happens when the first months of the year have been pretty good. But if the first months go pretty badly, then we don't see a summer slump. That's what history shows us. That's what the data tells us. And it really looks like Trump is doing exactly the same thing as in 2018. The funny thing is, Trump was already president back then, and it's actually playing out almost identically. After we had the correction here, we then had a strong upward trend. During this period, however, Bitcoin was unable to recover. The traditional markets performed well, but Bitcoin couldn't recover because we simply transitioned into a bear market and, as always, have these 4-year cycles. But what happened after that is crazy. We then had an economic rally that was out of this world. Just look at how we exploded here. The S&P 500 climbed so steeply here that even Bitcoin rose from $3,000 to $14,000 during a bear market. People thought the next bull run was coming. That's how dramatically we exploded again in 2018, because the economy was flourishing so strongly after all. And I see the current scenario exactly the same way. I mean, at the beginning of the year, the S&P 500 wasn't doing particularly well. Now all the tariffs have been priced in. We've pretty much seen the worst of it by now. And then we could see a big summer rally. That means we can see a summer rally every time. The previous months didn't look good. And right now, that's exactly what it looks like. I mean, just take a look at this ratio. From 2016 to 2018, the S&P 500 really skyrocketed. And here, from 2020 to 2024, we shot up like crazy again. Then there was a big correction at the beginning of the year because of the tariffs. Exactly. The same thing happened here. Then there was another big year-end rally. And right now, it looks exactly the same. There really isn't much of a difference. Right now, it looks exactly like 2018, and the prices are behaving just like they did in 2018. And if this continues, it would suggest that we won't see a summer slump, but could actually keep climbing through the summer months, similar to how during the 2017 bull run, it felt like we were only moving in one direction. In between, there are always 30% corrections. That's just always the case. It happens every time, but they're short and sharp. All in all, we've marched straight ahead, and it could be similar this time because so far the data just points to that. I mean, just look at where we are right now. Bitcoin is close to its all-time high. Interest is close to an all-time low. Right now, there isn't much interest, especially when it comes to retail investors. Ethereum has finally broken out, and we were also finally able to break out it on the altcoin season index. There are some very, very positive things ahead of us. Above all, the most important thing to understand is that we are still far from having major interest from the masses. Once you understand that, you also know how much further this journey can go. And in this regard, let's take a look at an interesting narrative, because something has really happened with this narrative in the past few days that can't be downplayed. Specifically, it's the RWA narrative. By now, you're already familiar with this statement here. We help you excel. Right away, the process is a transaction. The blockchain will help you. And then let's be clear. If you have a pure blockchain and you have everything, you have knowledge of who the buyers and sellers are, then we know with only custodians and it runs. Companies like BlackRock already understand the significance of blockchain today. They understand that this is the future and that it is extremely important, especially with regard to the RWA sector. BlackRock has been convinced of this for a long time, but yesterday we also saw that Deuce JP Morgan, the largest bank in the world, announced that they are now collaborating with Ondo and Chainlink in relation to the RWA sector. They want to tokenize things here, and that's incredibly huge, friends. It's not without reason that they chose Chainlink and Ondo. Both are top projects, as we've mentioned many times in the past. So this is really incredibly positive. It's great to see that the first banks are now slowly starting to get involved step by step. We can also see this in the RWA sector in general. Just look at how we've built ourselves up here. Step by step, we're building ourselves up here and we're continuously growing. So the RWA sector is one of the most interesting sectors for this bull run. You should definitely keep it in mind. It will certainly get a good share of the pie. It's just really important to understand what's happening here. People like BlackRock or JP Morgan aren't forming these kinds of partnerships right now for no reason. And with that, friends, that's it for this video. I hope you understand the significance of what I showed you today. How closely we're actually tracking the economy of 2018 in comparison. If things really play out that way, we wouldn't see a major summer slump. Maybe 1 or 2 interim corrections, but overall, we would build up and see a bull run until the end of this year.